Hello, welcome. So this is gonna be probably my last loot video of Delirium League. Unless I decide to do something different, I don't think I will shoot another video for this league. This is the fourth video, loot video. So this time it is, of course, again, tier 15, high tier maps. And 40% Delirium this time. 40%. So I'm gonna talk about, I'm gonna do something different this video. I'm gonna talk about my atlas a little bit and what maps I do. Because if you watched my previous 3 videos in Delirium League, there was some gameplay action and some stash cleaning, some different stuff that I normally didn't do in previous leagues. So this video I won't do those. I'm just gonna talk about my atlas and final thoughts about Delirium League and how to min-max your maps. At least the stuff I did to farm hundreds of exiles in this couple of weeks, 2 weeks. So the loot will be here. We're gonna talk about this. So let's just first talk about this again. Let's just get this out of the way. So this is the last farm, 40% Delirium, 100 maps. This was the previous one, 20%. It is written here, I forgot to write here. So this is the 20% Delirium. So the main difference between these two farms was 20% more Delirium, and also in this previous farm I had like 12 Nemesis currency maps, which means 4 different sextants. But in this last one, 40%, I only got 2 Nemesis currency, so that means 6 maps. So that means that I did 6 maps less juiced maps, let's say, because Nemesis currency maps drops a lot of currency. But even though that 6 less maps, but we did 40% Delirium, you can see, of course this is all RNG, everything can change, but the profit is higher actually, the total earned at least. Maybe if I did the same amount of Nemesis currency in this last farm, latest farm, 40%, we could even achieve higher currency. So you can see the results are very similar. So nothing really changed that much in terms of currency, but as I said, I'm telling again, if you can get more Nemesis currency maps, 40% is probably better. Let's talk about maps. Map sustain. Because the most important thing about 20% and 40% is, of course, you are gonna use one more Delirium orb, which means that you are gonna spend more time trading with people. So maybe you want to avoid that. That's why 20% is probably the best choice, talking about time efficiency. But 40% seems to add a little more juice to maps overall. So about maps, this is 20%. Let's talk about tier 14 and onwards. So 90 maps, 110. As you can see, I got 20 more. Tier 15s, actually a little less. And tier 16s, again a little less. So 40% didn't actually did much in terms of maps. It seems, at least not in 100 maps. So the results are very similar. So 20% is definitely a good way of doing farm. Other stuff isn't very important. You can check these in the description. So the final result, the profit. The spendings almost the same. I only use more Delirium orbs, which I again forgot to add. It seems so. Yeah, I forgot to add. So this is the only 20%. You are gonna basically want to double this amount. So the spendings are gonna be more, but the profit is the same roughly. So nothing really changed that much. Maybe I did, if I did 6 more MS maps, it could have been better. So 20%, 40%, whatever you can do, they are both fine. let's talk about my atlas real quick. So how I did my maps this league. So this is not going to be a detailed guide about atlas, how to roll your maps, because I have a guide for that, which is in the description. I'm just going to talk about Delirium League and what maps, what corners I do. So as you can see, I have some maps ready. I only chiseled those. It doesn't matter. We are not going to roll them detailed. So the thing is, you want what I did. I focused on 4 different sections of the atlas, and make sure you have the favorite section unlocked here. So as you can see, I have terrace on Highwork Hamlet favorite here. I have park here. Where is it? Yeah, this one, park. And we have shore here. And lastly, estuary. Where is it? Yeah, this one. So these are the maps that I chose to farm. So 4 different sections of the atlas, with all of them, of course, marked as favorite. Lets you sustain them basically. So I am only doing these 4 maps and spawning each conqueror on each section. So you know that when you kill 4 guardians, conquerors, you can go for Cyrus. So this is enough for me to farm. You can favorite more maps or favorite different sections and farm those maps if you want. But playing in 4 different maps was, very enjoyable for me, and you can also sustain them very easily. So I don't have to do anything else. So this favorite system works nicely, but I haven't tried that much. But some of my friends did. They say that you can't really sustain only one map. So let's say you want to do park all the time, let's say. So you clear all of these, right? And you only have park. But they say that that is not possible really, because you still got other maps. I haven't tested that much. So if you want to test, feel free to do it. Or if you have any ideas, just post a comment down below. So it seems that sustaining one map isn't really possible, but sustaining a couple of areas is very easy to do so. And that's what I have been doing. So you just want to click here and click the map you want. I am doing terrace, so I am clicking terrace 3 times. In my experience, clicking one map more than once actually does something. I hope so. That's what I have been doing. So try to get all of these bonuses, sockets here unlocked, so you can check your favorite map 3 times. And finally, estuary. So why I chose these maps? You are using Delirium Orb all the time, which means that the maps are gonna be harder all the time. As you already know that there are some explosive monsters, let's say, but you cannot attack those. So those kind of stuff that you need to avoid all the time. So some maps like, let's say, Necropolis, it's an indoor map, lots of rooms, lots of tight spaces, so it is really hard to see those kind of explosive things and avoid them. So I actually did lots of Necropolis in the previous weeks. It's actually a very good map in my opinion, but for Delirium I don't recommend maps like this. Necropolis, maybe what else here? Maybe Temple, but it is a tier 14. So let's talk about the tier 15s mostly, and I will do some recommendations for each corner. Of course you can do anything you want, but I think these kind of open layout maps are more efficient and less dangerous. So for this part, Precinct is actually a very good map, but you can get lost quite easily, so I don't recommend. Dig is not bad, but the mob count is very low. But you can do this if you want and test. Grotto is actually very nice, but it is again a little tight because you are in a cave basically. And if you are playing on predictive mode, because your internet sucks like mine, so you will get desync a lot in Grotto. So I don't recommend doing that. But if you can play on lockstep and if you enjoy doing Grotto, this is a very good map. Castle Ruins is very nice. You can go for it. Terrace is my best choice right now. Phantasmagoria doesn't have much monsters, but the layout is very simple. You can go for it if you want. So for this part, Necropolis is the best map in this area actually for mob density. And that was from my Discord, by the way. Don't get fooled. I am still in Discord. Necropolis is fine, but again it is a little tight, so it is hard to see some stuff. Primordial Pool, good layout, but mob count is very low, so I don't recommend doing this map. So for this part, Cells isn't a good map in my opinion. Very tight rooms, very time consuming, and the Legion spawns are very bad. So this map is a no-go. Channel is fine. Yeah, channel is fine, you can go for that. Shore is very good. That's what I have been doing. Coast is good for layout, but doesn't good for mob count, so I don't recommend. Just do Shore instead. Courtyard is fine, but the layout is maybe a little, struggling because you need to jump over the fences all the time and stuff like that. And you can easily get stuck while trying to avoid stuff. So yeah, if you like it, just do it because there are 3 bosses in this map, so it is good for some drops, map drops, maybe these kind of juice drops from Awaken level. So it is a good map actually, so you can go for that. Courthouse, again 3 bosses. Layout is okay, let's say. I actually like doing Courthouse, but I didn't do this league because I believe Park is a little easier to do. Acid Caverns also is a good map, but a little dangerous, talking about bosses. So this new Wester section is actually very good in terms of tier 15s. Only the bad map is Wasteful. The layout is tight, so it is dangerous, and also the mob count is very bad. So this is probably one of the worst tier 15s. So I don't recommend doing that. But if you don't care about profit that much, you can just pick this one. If you are playing something like Blade Vortex, maybe very easy to do these kind of tight maps. But Wasteful is a bad map, talking about mob count overall. Overgrown Ruin and Lighthouse, I don't like these maps, so this part I actually do something like this. So Waldo's Rest, I actually pick tier 14s here because they are expensive. One is Burial Chambers, so you can actually pick some tier 14s to sell them easily. So you can just go for Burial Chambers here because it's a tier 14. You can pick those. Let's talk about here. So Estuary is what I've been doing. If you know that there are lots of chests in this map, so you don't need to. So you basically normally you don't want to click chests, right? But there are some people that they can't stop doing that. Basically, I once had a friend that did the same. He's like clicking every chest. He just can't stop, So if you are that kind of person, do not do this place because there are lots of chests. So do not click them if you are doing this map. But if you can't help yourself from doing that, just pick something else. Geode is actually good, but the boss is a chaos golem. So if you don't have enough chaos resist, you can die basically. But it is actually a good map. Siege is very good. You can go for that. Arachnid Tomb, not that much. Desert Spring is very nice, but the boss is very time consuming. But if you are like, I don't care about the boss, when I am doing this map, let's say. So you can just go for this map. Very good layout, very good mob density. So it is your choice. Toxic Sewer is very good, but not good for layout for Delirium, I believe, because the tight corridors makes it very hard to see exploding, monsters and those kind of stuff. But this is actually a very good map, so it is your choice if you want to do this or not. Sepulcher is bad. Palace is not that good. It's a little time consuming. So this part, Bazaar is a very good map for mob count. But again, for layout, it isn't everyone's best choice, but it is a good map overall. Port is also again good, but the boss is a little dangerous sometimes. It's a very weird boss. So if you think you are comfortable with the boss, you can just go for this map. Coral Ruins is not the best, but the bosses, there are like maybe 5 or 6 unique bosses together. So with some sextants, like unique monsters drop corrupted items, or what else, I don't remember right now. So with some sextants, it is actually a good map in terms of profit. You can go for that, but overall it is not a good map in my opinion. So lastly, as you noticed, I don't have core and lava lake unlocked because I hate those places, and also the bosses are very dangerous and time consuming, so I haven't unlocked those at all. Actually, I can unlock those and sell, but I refuse to do so because I hate these maps, so I don't recommend those two. Caldera is not bad, but the mob count isn't the best. Layer is fine, you can go for that, but again it's a cave map basically, so it's an indoor tight location. So not good for Delirium in my opinion. Ticket is again same stuff, I don't recommend. Reef, mob count is bad and the boss takes forever to kill. Bone Grid again very bad, so this part overall is probably on my bottom list, so I don't recommend doing this part, but you can do Layer and maybe Caldera if you want. I believe I talked about every corner, every section. So you basically chisel your maps, alchemy them, roll them as usual, and then use some Delirium orbs. So basically you need to use 2 on every map. It doesn't matter what you are using, just buy whatever you can, just 2 Delirium, or maybe 1 if you struggle buying those. So 1 is fine, we already talked about the profit, they are very similar. You can just go for 1 Delirium orb. Feel free to wall your maps. I don't wall when I started using Delirium orbs because sometimes they transition into wall temple or maybe a worse quantity one. It's your choice. Walling is actually overall a very good option, but I don't feel like walling this league in Delirium because I'm using orbs. And if you are also leveling, pushing that high level, walling can make the maps very dangerous because you are already using Delirium orbs to make the maps harder. So walling, so sometimes the maps go into 8 mode, which makes them very hard. So you can expect a few deaths every now and then, unless you are playing something ridiculous like the Herald stacking build, which is gonna 100% get nerfed again in the next league. And I'm gonna do something different for the next video. It will take me a couple of days probably. Maybe you already know, maybe you don't. I did a similar video in last league, what was that? Metamorph, which was a berserker showcase with endgame gear and 10 different skills. I'm gonna do that for Raider this time. I'm currently playing Dual Strike. I tested Frostblades and Flicker. But I'm gonna test like 10 different skills again and prepare a video guide for that again. Showcase with the bosses and everything. It's gonna of course be a high budget build, so expect to spend at least 100 exalt. So if you are into that, make sure you subscribe and keep following me, and I will see you next time.